Good morning, and what is a mild, bright but changeable day. It is Tuesday the 21st of October, and I'm in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea. And quite a heavy box to unbox. So, let's get the knife out, slice this open. There we go. Almost there. It's quite securely bound. Okay, I'll just show you how securely bound it is inside. That's really very well wrapped, and that's still quite a heavy book. So, okay, so we're going to grab this, take this out, move that over there, out of the way. So I'm just going to show you, give you a kind of hint at what's there. And then slice this open. Actually, really made a good job of protecting this. So let's take off that layer of spongy stuff and that. Okay, and that can go in there. So. I'm put the knife out of the way. Okay. This is what I've got inside. This is how big it is. It is one of the mammoth Marvel Comics Treasury editions. So, who are about to die. A savage alien race has invaded Earth, and the planet's only hope lies with a group of volunteers willing to sacrifice everything to become superheroes. Amazing powers, fame, and glory await. But they will lose their lives within a year. Prepare to meet Strikeforce Morituri, just don't get too attached. Collecting Strikeforce Morituri 1-31 and Strikeforce Morituri Electric Undertow 1-5, written by Peter P. Gillis and James D. Hudnall, and illustrated by Brent Anderson, Wills Portasio, Scott Williams, Hugh Thomas, John Callamy, and Mark Bagley. There we go. There's all the images on the back. So, I'm not going to show you every single page. I'm going to show you some of the artwork, because otherwise it's going to take me a while to leaf through all of this. But Strikeforce Morituri was a Marvel Comics series which ran from 1986 to 1989, and then later on with the 5-part Electric Undertow series, which completed the series. Now, the idea behind the setting is that the world has been attacked by a rapacious alien species called the Horde, which is stripping the planet of its resources without regard to its population, having enslaved a lot of them, murdered a lot of them, and then a scientist develops a means of striking back at them, surviving against their technology, and that is to turn people into superheroes. But the process means that those that undertake it, and there's a very limited number of people who can, will die within a year. They'll burn out. Even an enhanced physiology cannot withstand it for more than a year. Now, this doesn't always actually so let's just get the knife carefully underneath there. There we go. Now, this doesn't actually this does change over time when there is a cure found, or basically a means to reverse the process is found later on. But I read this when it came out first and was really enjoying it. It's one of my favourite comics at the time. Certainly one of my favourite Marvel comics of the time, because I switched over to, I was reading X-Men and a lot of those associated comics, but most of the titles I was reading was actually DC at the time. So, the epic sci-fi sensation of the 80s in one blockbuster volume, yes, no doubt about that. In the late 21st century, the Horde has ravaged Earth. The alien conquerors have plundered the planet's resources and enslaved and experimented on the human subjects. But the scientists have devised a method of fighting back, the Morituri process, which grants enhanced strength and superhuman abilities to a select few incompatible individuals. The only problem is that the transformation is fatal within a year, and death could come at any moment. The first group, known as Blackwatch, has fallen. Now it's time for a handful of brave volunteers to step up and form Strikeforce Morituri, an elite, experimental and highly effective fighting force against the Horde's depredations. Viking is a writer and born leader with energy-based abilities. Snapdragon wields plasma bursts, Radiant can control radiation, Adept possesses the uncanny skill of analysing any situation and finding a solution, Blackthorn can dissolve molecular bonds between substances, and the Towering Marathon is an absolute powerhouse. They are new recruits, but they won't be the last. And the inescapable knowledge that win or lose, their fate is sealed, taints the heat of every battle, the celebration of every victory, and every quiet moment alone. Emotional bonds form and are quickly torn apart as they and those who follow must find a way to grapple with the pressures of their newfound fame and the personal toll of everything it will cost them. As experiments continue to refine and improve the Morituri process, monstrous twists and turns will fill the relentless war against the Horde, but when it's finally over, will humankind prove victorious? How the experience have changed society, and what will be there for the surviving members of the Strikeforce Morituri. So, okay, so I'm just going to take the cover off. So there is, as you can see, you've actually got some fantastic artwork there on the back of our cover. And I'll show you that on the authors there. Authors and artists each get a decent biography as well. So this is going to be quite a bit difficult because it's actually such a large book. It's 1,000 pages. And here you've got the contents list of all the issues. And I can remember seeing this cover for the first time. It was really striking. It looked really different. The Marvel symbol there was different, and you've got actually decent artwork. I mean, you know, artwork from the 80s was not always good. Could be, you know, a bit rushed, but you know, this captures the story. This is just the first issue, and I'm actually just going to show you through that. And this is essentially the sort of the main character. He's the writer who's going to take you through the Morituri process and show you how it works. And really, you know, this is approaching, you know, there's a sense of optimism with this, a sense of hope. A lot of that will change as revelations are made and relations are formed and lost. The people die as part of the process. And again, it's really great covers, action, so on. I think, you know, if you wanted to do a fan, I mean, I think honestly, this is a limited story. There's only 31 issues of the comic plus Electric Undertow. You kind of go, this would make a fantastic TV series. Honestly, really would. And the fact that it's only, what, 31 issues, you know. And, you know, just... As I say, there's so much I could just leave through, but I mean, you know, it's worth tracking this down. Covers are great. I mean, I've still got the issues that, in a box somewhere. They're all in bags because they were my favourite comics at one of my favourite comics at the time. Alongside things like the Shadow, and I've got to try and remember. The Question were a couple of my favourite comics from the 80s, along with other DC titles, which included trying to think, Captain Atom, Suicide Squad. So also in between, they really did actually also begin to develop the setting as well. So you've got some actual source book material, which is really, I love this edition, this kind of material, because it collects the content in one place. And then, there's sort of a bit of a change here. How Peter and Brent creates and destroys Strikeforce Morituri. They literally step out of the comic, out of the story. To tell the process. And that was it's just issue 13. They're already in that far in, but they're getting a little bit meta there. That's the issue to 14. So I'm going to flip forward because I'm honestly at the end. So that's the final issue. That covers the final issue. Last Stand. And really, basically by this time there's a change of characters. The original cast, will have fought their battles and died. And then we get on to, I think that's it really, getting down to the point where, it was cancelled, and then there were still stories left to be told. And I'm just trying to find the covers to those. So yeah, and then this ends really essentially a sneak preview of the new bookshelf format series Strikeforce Morituri. This is basically going to be a preview of presumably Electric Undertow, which is the 5-part series, and I think that would. I'm trying to think that appeared under the Epic. So did it? No, it didn't. Okay, so here we go. But again, this appeared not as standard staple bound, but as a standard kind of book, saddle stitch sort of thing, or glued. And I think by this time, the Electric Undertow was kind of getting out of comics because, I was moving. I had a daughter, and not as much time, and then I was off to university, and I had to basically go and pick these up later on. To book 5 and the final part of Electric Undertow. And I don't ever actually remember reading all the way through this. I sort of got them and meant to and never had the chance. Now I have the chance because I've got it all in one volume. So here we've got basically an overview of the series. And some of the advertising, which is a great addition. I mean, you know, some depictions of the characters. Which make for nice additions at the end of the book. We did actually sort of like play around with this. We did run a very short kind of scenario or mini campaign of this using Superworld from Chaosium. We basically adapted. And there's the original. Members of the comic strip. And there we go. That brings series to an end. So, Strikeforce Morituri. If you can track this down, you should be able to get it now. It's recently just come out. And you're a fan, or you actually want to read a great superhero story that isn't. It takes place on an official Marvel world, but it's not one that's actually visited by sort of like within the superhero continuity of, you know, of the Marvel universe, or even the Marvel. Of course, it's definitely not Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it is an official world and part of the Marvel universe, but one where this single tale is told. So that is Who Are About to Die, Strikeforce Morituri from Marvel Comics, collected volume, worth tracking down if you're a fan of the original, series and want to have it all in one place. If you want to read basically a very different superhero comic to what you're normally used to, then I really recommend this. Anyway, in the meantime, thanks for watching another unboxing in the Nook. If you enjoyed this, then please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll typically see me with a box, or in this case, a box from which I will unbox a role-playing game, role-playing supplement, or a role-playing scenario, or in this case, a collected volume of 36 issues of a comic strip from the 80s and early 90s, which I will then talk about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching, and we'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.